And we are back for another episode of the Work the Crowd podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Dougie Fresh, and as always, I'm joined here with the born ready, apparently, Jacob Klukas. What's up, buddy?
Born ready. Stay ready so you don't got to get ready, Douglas. That's my motto.
That's right. It's a motto to live by, people. So today, this is I would say it's a preview to our big college basketball episode next week. We're going to go over some conference tournament stuff since we finished our last week of college basketball.
Well, we still got today.
We got today, I know, but yeah, you know what I mean. Conference tournaments start next week, and then we'll talk about there's been some NFL trades, some pretty good ones, so we're gonna talk about those. And then Klukas apparently has a plan to fix our Indianapolis Colts, so we're gonna get into that as well.
Full disclosure, before we get into that, that'll be last. But Douglas has not heard this. He opted to wait until today to hear this.
Just for you guys, for the people.
Yeah.
Because I got FOMO, so it's
been eating him alive all week.
Yeah, I shed a tear or two.
All right, so
let's get into it.
Let's start with these conference tournaments. So pretty much every tournament is set with the exception of the Big Ten. The Big Ten has 3 specific games going on today that's going to determine seeding for the Big Ten. But let's kind of dive right into this. So let's start off. Let's go ACC tournament, Doug. This is your wheelhouse.
Yeah.
So I'll kind of let you take the reins on this one a little bit. So we're gonna go through. We're gonna go through and just kind of pick our conference champion winners. We'll kind of go through each round. Kind of pick our winners and see where we see what we come up with. So Stanford and Pittsburgh. I watched Pittsburgh. Now I didn't watch all these ACC teams. You've watched the majority of them because obviously Louisville's played majority of them.
Mm-hmm.
But the ones that I've watched Pittsburgh play probably 3 times this year. They're not good. So I would pick Stanford. And honestly, I've watched Stanford play twice. I think Stanford could go on kind of a little run here, potentially.
Yeah, Stanford's not a bad team. I think they just...
they just play in a deep conference.
Huh?
They play in a deep conference for the most part.
Yeah, like like you said, I think they could figure it out a little bit, and they could go on a run. But yeah, in a deep conference like this, it is tough.
So are you going Stanford as well?
Yeah, I'm going to go Stanford.
All right, let's go ahead and drop down. Let's go SMU, Syracuse. Syracuse not really that good of a basketball team either, from what I've seen. No. SMU has its moments. They have moments where they can look really, really good, and then they have moments where they can look really, really bad. But I think overall, I would take the more consistency out of SMU at least over Syracuse.
Yes, agreed. SMU has some good guard play. So that could spring them forward in the tournament, which honestly, for me being a Louisville fan, which we'll get into after that, but that kind of scares me. That's the first matchup.
Yeah, when I saw this bracket, I tried to look to see who would match up against Louisville. I was like, a second round matchup against SMU is not ideal.
No, but we'll keep going.
Virginia Tech, Wake Forest. I would probably just take Virginia Tech.
Toss up, yeah. I feel like this is kind of a toss up for me, but I think I would also go Virginia Tech.
And then FSU and Cal. Cal's kind of another one of those teams that either they're really good or they can look really good or can look really bad. FSU I haven't seen much of this year, so I can't really give you much.
Yeah, I think I would take Cal on this one.
Yeah, so that's where I was kind of going with. I was kind of going to lean Cal on this one.
Yeah.
So let's go back up top. Stanford, NC State. Again, I think Stanford could go on a little run here, and I do like Will Wade. I do like this NC State team, but I think Stanford could go on a little run here potentially. They're kind of on that like borderline NCAA tournament team, and they kind of need a huge push, and I think you could get it right here potentially. I almost want to pick Stanford.
Yeah, I don't. I agree with what you're saying, but I think in this, we'll see how Stanford plays in the first game. But NC State kind of figured it out later half of the season. I think that because they also have some good guard play. I think they win that game against Stanford.
I had to go back and look up his name. I couldn't remember off the top of my head. Ibuka Okori for Stanford. is a name that I've watched him because he's on my draft radar for this year. He's on a transfer portal radar. It could be a guy that has to go into the draft, play it. If not, he could be a highly wanted guy in the transfer portal this year. And we always say in March, all it takes is one, specifically a guard usually, but it takes that one guy to go on a heater, and it could catapult. I don't know. I'm still stuck 50-50. You said you were going NC State. I think as much as I would really want to take Stanford, I probably would take NC State just because I think they're a better, well-rounded team.
With a better coach.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, which matters during tournament time.
So here we go. I'll let you have the floor here, Doug. SMU, Louisville.
Yeah, again, like I said, this game scares me. But I will say that Louisville, the last few games, has played very well without Michael Brown at that fact. So if we get him back, that we're going to be in a good place. But I don't know if he'll be back for this game. It's up in the air for me. But it seems like the team's meshing well. Everybody else has been stepping up. Last night or yesterday's win against Miami at Miami was a huge win for Louisville, seeding wise for the NCAA tournament and just as a team. Like they needed a big win, and to do that without your star player is huge. So it's almost kind of like if we put him back in the starting lineup, is it more of like a Darren Peterson type thing where you start ruining chemistry? You play a couple games as a team, and you go on a road and beat a top 25 team. Without him, I don't know. This game does scare me, but I think with us playing as well as we are, especially in the front court right now, I think Louisville wins this game, but I think it's a close one.
Yeah, I think it is a close one. You all split with SMU this year, didn't you?
Yes.
1-1, lost 1.
Yep.
So I think this would be Wednesday. I think by Wednesday, I'm gonna go on a limb and say Michael Brown is gonna make sure that he's back for this game. Now whether he's whether Pat Kelsey's gonna do him coming off the bench thing like he did before and then letting him get a feel, or whether he's just gonna throw him in and start. But I would go Louisville in this one. Matching them up against Miami. And then that last second round matchup, Virginia Tech, Clemson, I think we can just both agree and move forward. It's going to be Clemson.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so then let's go from the bottom and work our way up. North Carolina, Clemson. Now, before I probably would just tell you this is going to set up North Carolina. I mean, because we can kind of go ahead and move on to the next round as well. Like, Duke's going to beat Cal.
Yes, probably really bad.
Yeah. So a couple months ago, I would have told you North Carolina probably sweeps by Clemson to reset up this matchup against Duke. But no, Caleb Wilson has put a damper on things for North Carolina. And now he's officially done. Yep. There is no chance of him coming back with him breaking his thumb. Which, by the way, I mean, what are you doing if you're Caleb Wilson? Like, you already have a hurt hand, and now you're using that same hand and you're dunking with it, and now you break your thumb. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, that's kind of dumb.
So, but I think no Caleb Wilson makes this Clemson-North Carolina matchup a lot more intriguing. In North Carolina under Hubert Davis, outside of the last year of having Caleb Love and RJ Davis, they haven't had a whole lot of ACC tournament success.
No.
So
not really.
I don't know.
I think this is by far his best team he's had.
For sure. So outside of the Caleb Love, RJ Davis team first year.
But yeah, that was kind of a
and
carryover.
The team could have been even better, obviously, with Caleb Wilson. But yeah, I'm not sure. North Carolina has played. I mean, they haven't played terrible without Caleb Wilson. Now they played terrible yesterday against Duke. But granted, a lot of teams have played terrible against Duke. So I don't know. I'm gonna kind of lean I would almost just kind of lean North Carolina just because I trust Seth Trimble and Henry Vasar, but Clemson could definitely give them a run here.
I'm going Clemson. So the reason being. And if you're not a really good team, you're just like an okay team, like if you're a Duke, and I do think Virginia is a pretty good team, even though down the stretch they've been a hit or miss a little bit. But I think when you get that double bye, that really messes with you, and when you start playing a team that's already played once, who's been fresh and just played the night before, especially with the double bye quarterfinals. When you've only played one game and you're not like super tired yet, after if you're make it to the championship, you've played 3 games, not back to back to back. So I'm going, because of Caleb Wilson also not playing, I am going Clemson because they're going to have more PT. Basically, that's what I'm thinking.
They're going to be warmed up already.
Yep. Yeah. I'm going with that.
All right. Well, we'll save this one. We'll come back to this one. Let's do Virginia, North Carolina State. Now, North Carolina State is also a team that could go on a little run here, but I think Virginia is like you said, is a very good team.
I'm going Virginia here.
I would take Virginia in this one.
Yeah.
All right, so here you go. I'll let you again have the floor on this one. Miami Louisville rematch from yesterday. Just got to win without Michael Brown, assuming now probably by this point, especially if he didn't play in the SMU game, Michael Brown's probably going to play in this game.
Yeah, if he plays, Louisville, just beat them on the road at their stadium, or in their arena, and not having your star player. And honestly, Louisville controlled most of that game. I know the score was close, but we controlled most of that game, and I was pretty impressed. So I think if you add the Michael Brown piece back, and with how we're all meshing right now, I think Pat Kelsey's figured something out with starting Zugris as your center, who is going out there and playing hard, because it seems like the other guys are just half-ass running around. I like Louisville to beat Miami again in a neutral stadium.
Yeah. I think if Michael Brown, especially if he's playing in this game specifically, I would like Louisville in this one over Miami as well. If you beat them on the road without your star player comes back, neutral site. Yeah, I would pick Louisville. So I have Duke, Carolina in the semifinals. You have Duke, Clemson. I think either way, for either matchup, we're both going Duke.
Yeah.
To win this.
Yeah.
Because, North Carolina, if they had Caleb Wilson, I would give North Carolina a fighting chance with Caleb Wilson against Duke. Because it's still, regardless, neutral site, still a rivalry game, something you got to look at. But no Caleb Wilson, I don't give them a chance. Obviously, we saw what happened yesterday. Virginia and Louisville. I think this is where I kind of put the end of the train here for you guys. I would take Virginia.
Yeah, we played them middle of the season. They pretty much demolished us, to be honest. I think they ended up winning by like 15 or something. So,
and listen, this Virginia team, like they play, they obviously they kind of play like they used to under Tony Bennett a little bit, but they also have this little mix of where they do have, a little bit of athleticism and stuff. So it's kind of, it's kind of like the best of both worlds with them now.
Yeah, they score more points when they.
Oh yeah, for sure. This team puts up way more points than Tony Bennett and them ever did. And then Duke, Virginia, again, I think we don't need to talk much about this. Duke's going to win the ACC.
No, I don't think Duke struggles at all.
So
it's not like last year where they lost Cooper Flagg and
kind of had question marks. And
this Duke team, going forward into the NCAA tournament, it is a Final Four team.
So as we talked about it, the Big Ten is not finalized yet. As you can see, seeds 2 through 5 are not finalized. Essentially, these are going to be figured out today. You do have a big game. Michigan State plays today in East Lansing. So that could be, so Michigan's locked in as the 1 seed in the Big Ten, though. Everybody that you see is locked into their spot. It's just essentially that 2 through 5 that's going to be in question today. So you have today, not in East Lansing. It's in Michigan, in Ann Arbor, Michigan State, Illinois, Maryland at Maryland, and then Nebraska, Iowa at Nebraska. So those games will pretty much solidify where everybody else falls into line. So obviously without having everybody here, I think pretty much we can just go overall winner. I think Michigan goes through the Big Ten and wins this. I think Michigan State can give them a push. I think Nebraska, as good as they have been, I think they're not to that caliber of Michigan even still. The only other team I could see giving Michigan fits would be Illinois. So Illinois, Michigan State, I think could give Michigan trouble, but overall, I think Michigan just wins this Big Ten and heads on to the NCAA tournament. I do
think Purdue's a little bit of a wild card.
Dude, Purdue is just so.
I know.
I mean,
that's why I said wild card.
Somebody, who was it? It was on Barstool the other day. They were talking about Purdue, and they were like, It might have been Mark Titus, honestly. But they were like, every year we talk about Purdue. Every year preseason, they're a top 5 team, and then they lose, and they're kind of now middle of the pack. They've been, they jump back up into the top 10, and they don't, and they do. He goes, and then we have this midseason where they get upset. He goes, from now on, if you beat Purdue, it's not an upset. Like it is what it is. Like, yep. So let's go to the Big 12, where this is finalized, and when we get to Kansas, there's an interesting thing about Kansas I want to talk about because you brought it up with the whole Michael Brown thing with Darren Peterson. There's something I want to talk about. Let's go Baylor, Arizona State. I think Baylor wins this one to move on to play Iowa State.
Yeah, I'm going to go Baylor.
All right. Utah, Cincinnati. Winner gets to face Central Florida. While Utah is not a bad team, have watched them a couple times when I've stayed up late watching BYU and stuff like that. But I think Cincinnati's kind of rolling right now. I think they get a win here against Utah to move on against Central Florida.
Oh, yeah, it's Utah. And who's that?
Cincinnati.
Cincinnati. I'm going Cincinnati. Cincinnati's been playing well.
Yep. All right. BYU, Kansas State. Listen, BYU dropping all the way down to the 10th seed is a dangerous spot for the Big 12 right now. So I'm going to go BYU in this one.
Yeah, having the it guy matters right now.
Yeah, for sure.
So
Oklahoma State, Colorado. Listen, neither of these teams are really that good.
No.
Oklahoma State, though, did just put up a good fight against Houston, so I think I'm going to take Oklahoma State over Colorado.
Okay.
Sets up Baylor, Iowa State in the second round. I would go Iowa State to move on to get to play Texas Tech.
I would take Iowa State.
Cincinnati, Central Florida. This is kind of a weird matchup because Central Florida is pretty good.
Yeah, but
Cincinnati's playing
really well right now.
Yep, and I think I'm going to roll with the heater.
Yeah, me too.
And I'm going to take Cincinnati to move on to essentially lose to Arizona next round.
Yeah. I'm taking Cincinnati as well.
BYU, West Virginia. Again, it helps having that it guy, and I think it gets them through West Virginia to move on to get to play Houston. And then TCU, Oklahoma State. I'm going to go TCU.
Yeah, I'll go probably. I haven't watched TCU play a lot, to be honest. But, I mean, they're a 6th seed in the Big 12. They're pretty good.
So, Kansas and I'll start from the bottom. Kansas, TCU. And the reason why I wanted to talk about this. So, Kansas yesterday against Kansas State did something. They kind of took a page out of the Louisville playbook. So, Darren Peterson played yesterday. Played 29 minutes. Well, Bill Self elected to bring him off the bench. Now, part of that could have been, we're going to play some of these, the seniors on senior day, put them in, which was the case for 2 of them. But I think it's interesting, so Peterson came off the bench. He had 27, 5, and 4 on 10 of 15 shooting. I think that's an interesting look if you're Bill Self going into the Big 12 tournament. Now, is it ideal that you want your best player coming off the bench? Probably not. But if I look at it from their standpoint, I've already built it, regardless of how good Peterson is. I've already built this rapport for the most part with the guys that I've had without Peterson. So I let them go in the starting lineup, and then I kind of bring Peterson in off the bench, and he kind of gets to come in and fill in, get a flow for the game, understand what's needed of him, and then I let my starters also now get a flow. So if by some chance Peterson either wants to check himself out or does get hurt, we're not just kind of on the fly figuring something out.
Yeah, I think it's great. I mean, he can, he's already shown he could be productive off the bench. Who cares?
So I think I don't know if Bill Self will pull the trigger and do that, but I think it is an interesting look. I think they should consider it at least. But I'm taking Kansas over TCU to move on. I think Darren Peterson's able to lift them, obviously, over TCU.
Yeah, same.
BYU, Houston, listen, as good as AJ DeBanso really is, not having Richie Saunders the rest of the year really hurts this BYU team, and Houston's a damn good basketball team.
Houston's really good.
Houston moving on. I have Arizona beating Cincinnati, as we said. I said it didn't matter who's going to win that game. They're just moving forward to lose to Arizona.
Yep.
And then Texas Tech, Iowa State. This is interesting, too, because Texas Tech, not without their star player, JT Toppin, for the rest of the year. Iowa State, also a very good basketball team. I know people are going to look and go, oh, well, they're a 5 seed. Well, yeah, that's because that's how good this Big 12 really is.
Yeah, Big 12 is a deep conference. conference this year.
And neutral floor, I kind of want to go with Iowa State here.
I am as well. Without
Not having
Toppin,
your
I think
star player helps in this game. Does not help in this game.
Right.
Now, in saying that, they're going to move on just to lose to Arizona in the next round.
Right. Yeah. So Arizona in the championship game.
Houston and Kansas. Now, this could get interesting because if Darren Peterson plays, the 30, 32 minutes, 34 minutes, whatever that that you would kind of expect your star player to play in this. Listen, Kansas has a chance to beat Houston.
Absolutely.
Which they already did. We saw that obviously earlier this year, but they also did that they did that with Peterson playing 30 minutes. He had 14 points on 14 shots as well. So Peterson not playing his best game. Listen, I think if Peterson plays and plays to that level that we know Darren Peterson can, Kansas very well could beat Houston and secure a spot in the Big 12 championship.
Yeah, I'm going. Oh, God.
But unfortunately,
this is tough.
It's just the unfortunate part is I have to go with what I know and what's been consistent all year. And what's been consistent all year is Darren Peterson hasn't played that many minutes.
Right.
And also as we get deeper into March, I don't want to. Bill Self over the last couple of years, if we're going to be real, has kind of lost his fastball. So we get deeper into March, that whole, it's Bill Self kind of loses a little bit versus Kelvin Sampson, who has been proven the last couple of years to elevate. I'm going to take Houston.
My gut is actually telling me to take Kansas in this one. Mostly, I know Houston is a really good basketball team, and they're probably one of my Final Four teams. But I think in this situation, I think I take Kansas. I think if Peterson plays well, and I know that, like you said, hasn't been consistent, but if he does, this game is wide open. So I think I take Kansas. I think I go Kansas.
All right. So you have Arizona, Kansas, Big 12 championship. I have Arizona, Houston. For me, either way, I would still take Arizona to win the Big 12.
Yeah, me too.
All right. I know this SEC, this might be a little bit hard to see. All right. So SEC tournament. Fun fact about this first game, LSU, Kentucky. This is the Kentucky being the 9 seed in the SEC is the lowest seed Kentucky has ever been in the SEC in school history.
Great look for Pope.
Yeah. Awesome. Love it. And I also don't like that they have to play LSU, who did take a Malachi Moreno game winner to beat earlier this year.
The first round exit?
No, I can't do it. I think they do find a way to beat LSU in the first round, move on, play Missouri.
Yeah, I think Kentucky's playing better right now than when they played LSU the first time. So I'll go Kentucky as well.
Auburn, Mississippi State. Now, these people that think Auburn at 16 and 15 deserve an NCAA tournament spot is actually kind of asinine to me. But I mean, these two, they haven't played consistent ball all year. I think Auburn's just a little bit better of an all-around team. I'll take Auburn to beat Mississippi State, move on to play Tennessee. Ole Miss and Texas. Again, these are two teams that really had a lot of, I don't want to say high expectations, like they were expected to win the SEC or anything, but expected to be better than what they were, I would say.
Yeah.
The cookie didn't really crumble like that for them. But I think in this one, Chris Beard against his old school against Texas. Sean Miller now at Texas leading. We saw what Sean Miller did last year at Xavier, making a little bit of a tournament run. I think Texas wins this one. I think Texas has the best player on the floor with Dalen Swain. And I think they're able to move on to face Georgia.
Yeah, I would also go Texas.
And then OU, South Carolina. I mean, these two teams haven't been really that great all year, but I'll take Oklahoma because South Carolina, I'd say, has been worse.
Yeah, same.
So go from the bottom up. Oklahoma A&M. I would take Texas A&M to move on against Oklahoma. UGA Texas. Georgia versus Texas. I would take the Georgia Bulldogs in this one.
Go Dogs.
Go Dogs. Tennessee Auburn could get interesting because Auburn does have potential. Now Auburn did go to Florida this year and win in the Swamp. So it's not like they're just a completely incompetent team.
And they're fighting for a tournament spot. Tennessee has had their ups and downs this year as well.
But I think overall, I would still, on the safe side, just go Tennessee. I think they would just figure out a way to win this game, get by, move on to the next round.
I think I have my first upset here.
Okay,
I like with Auburn. I like Auburn fighting, and they, like you just said, they've proven that they can win against better teams, even in a hostile environment. I like Auburn here.
All right, and now we get to the Kentucky-Missouri game, and I much like all year, I just don't know. I don't know. I don't know what to do with. So they played a good game against Missouri earlier this year at Kentucky. They lost, but it wasn't a horrific game. But the only bad part that you could go to is that it was Otega Owe. He had 20, and then nobody else did essentially jack squat. So I kind of got to believe that somebody's going to step up at least. They only lost by 5 in that game. If just somebody else steps up, I think Kentucky could get a win and squeak by Missouri here.
I think I'm going Missouri.
Okay.
As much as I would like to see a Kentucky-Florida matchup.
I just don't know, dude. This team is just so inconsistent. I'm going Missouri. I can't. I don't want to get my hopes up by putting them there. It doesn't matter because whoever wins is losing to Florida in the next round.
Yeah. It doesn't matter.
So I have Vanderbilt versus Tennessee. You have Vanderbilt versus Auburn. I'm going Vanderbilt.
Either way. Yeah.
UGA Bama. Not in football, but this is basketball. And listen, Georgia's a sneaky team. Bama has played a lot better here recently. They were kind of playing inconsistent there. They played a lot better here recently. I think in this one I would just trust coaching, and I'm going to take Alabama.
Yeah, I'm not going to overthink that one. I'm going to just take Bama.
And then Arkansas versus Texas A&M. I'm going to take Arkansas to win that game.
Yep. Get Cal going, baby.
Sets up Arkansas versus Alabama. Nate Oates versus John Calipari. Listen, now they played a hell of a game a couple weeks ago at Alabama. We saw that the Darius Acuff almost having 50 in that game. And Arkansas has been a pretty good team pretty much all year. It did take double overtime in that game for them to win. We saw Acuff drop 49. LeBaron Philon in that game had 35. It was an absolute guard matchup. And my gut is telling me to take Arkansas in this one.
That's what I'm taking. I like Arkansas's game right now, and Acuff playing at that level as he is, one of the best guards in the country. I think our Arkansas moves on.
And essentially also now Malik Thomas, who's been one of their leading scorers, he's kind of been dealing with injuries. Finally, essentially looks like he's back to being fully healthy. Just had 28 against Missouri yesterday. And that was without essentially Darius Acuff yesterday, who didn't play. So getting ready for the SEC tournament, you got other guys now stepping up. I like Arkansas. Florida, Vanderbilt, I like Florida. And then much like the Big 12 and the ACC, essentially, I don't think it really matters. Florida's going to win the SEC.
Yep, I agree. Florida's also.
And then, Douglas, I threw in one little wrinkle here. For funsies, let's do the Big East.
Okay.
All right. Butler, Providence. Listen, Providence just fired their head coach. They're going into a conference tournament without a coach. I'm going Butler.
Yeah.
Marquette and Xavier. Marquette just got a huge win yesterday against UConn. I'm going to go Marquette over Xavier to reset up that matchup for them. And then DePaul and Georgetown. Listen, DePaul has been playing good basketball this year. I'm hoping that their athletic director becomes Kentucky's next athletic director with his Kentucky ties.
Oh.
So, yeah, I'm going to go DePaul to set up Villanova. I would take Villanova over DePaul in that one.
Yeah.
I think in a rematch, I would take UConn over Marquette.
Was that the Marquette-UConn game yesterday?
It was at Marquette, I believe.
Okay. Yeah, neutral site, definitely UConn.
Let me just double check. At Marquette.
I'm taking UConn.
Yeah. Creighton, Seton Hall. Both teams been playing good ball for the most part all this year. I'm going to go Creighton to win this one.
Okay. Yeah.
And then I'm going to go St. John's over Butler. I would go St. John's over Creighton.
Yep.
While I do like Villanova, I'm going to take UConn over Villanova. And then St. John's, UConn. Now, this is kind of wild to think about this. St. John's ended up first in the Big East, considering how much they struggled in the early goings of the season.
I know.
Now, against the St. John's, UConn matchups went 1-1. St. John's won at home 72-81 and then lost at UConn 72-40. So One game they won by 9. One game they got blown out by 32.
Give me Ricky P, baby.
Yeah. You're taking St. John's? Listen, I'm going to take St. John's, and for this reason and this reason only, I do like Dan Hurley, but this man's hissy fits that he throws on the sidelines
are
so just
fucking annoying.
I mean, dude, like, you were America's sweetheart for the 2 years. Like, nobody, like, we all thought that, like, Dan Hurley was like the next coming of like Coach K. We thought this is great. UConn winning back-to-back national championships, and then the guy started getting interviews for other jobs, like when the Kentucky job came up and all these other, and now he's just been insufferable ever since. So, all right. So going back through, because we both had essentially the same conference winners for all the different routes, but same conference winners. So we have Duke winning the ACC. While the Big Ten isn't set, I think we pretty much settled that Michigan is going to win the Big Ten. Arizona winning the Big 12, Florida winning the SEC, and then St. John's winning the Big East. So there you go. And as we talked about before, next week is going to be our big college basketball show that we love to do every year. We are essentially going to do our show and our live stream like we do every Sunday, but we're going to push it back to when the brackets are being announced, and kind of do live reactions. If I could try to figure out how to like do this, but kind of like fill in the bracket as it goes, we'll do something like that. And then we'll kind of just give you our live kind of predictions right then and there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good. Next week's gonna be fun. I love Selection Sunday.
So
it's one of my favorite days.
But now let's move on from college basketball as we are in March. It's the talk of the town. Let's talk a little NFL here. So we had some trades. We had really 3 kind of major trades happen this week in the NFL.
Yeah.
So the first one was really kind of set this week off. It was the Trent McDuffie trade. Trent McDuffie was traded from the Kansas City Chiefs to the Los Angeles Rams, essentially for 4 draft picks. Now, remember, the Rams own 2 first-round draft picks this year from the Falcons, when the Falcons moved up last year. So essentially, the big piece of the trade was they owned the 29th pick, which was their own. They traded that to Kansas City. So now Kansas City owns 2 first-round draft picks.
Of course they do.
But yeah, so there was 4 picks total involved, but the main one being the 29th overall pick. It was also a 5th and 6th round pick in this year's draft, and then a 3rd round pick in 2027 for all-pro corner Trent McDuffie, which was a major need for the Rams secondary. They struggled really in the secondary as far as their defense. They needed somebody to help shore that up. Trent McDuffie being a top, I would say, 5 corner in the league certainly helps. Then the next one that happened, as we kind of go in order here, DJ Moore from Chicago heading to Buffalo, giving Josh Allen a wide receiver 1. So that trade was essentially, as I pull it up right here, it was DJ Moore the Buffalo is sending their 2nd round pick this year to Chicago for DJ Moore and a 2026 5th round pick. So all it took was a second for Buffalo to get essentially a wide receiver 1.
I think this.
I do too. I really like this for Josh Allen. It gives him a surefire number 1. Now, he had that with Diggs, but him and Diggs obviously had their issues. Diggs was also a little older, DJ Moore a little younger. I don't think people realize how much maybe this really hurt Chicago.
A lot
because
more. Yeah.
DJ Moore was a big piece. And I know they're going to say, well, Chicago has Rome Odunze and Colston Loveland, and then Luther Burden was a big piece as a rookie this year. To me, Rome Odunze hasn't really proven to be a wide receiver 1 just yet.
He's not a receiver 1.
Like, he hasn't even been healthy really for us to even see it. So you're kind of putting all your eggs in that basket of saying he can be, but we haven't seen it yet. Now, Luther Burden was very good last year, and he showed flashes of maybe if we give him more touches, he can be a wide receiver 1, and maybe that's the case. But we have not seen it just yet. So I think this really hurt Chicago in that fact. But Buffalo definitely getting a huge getting a wide receiver 1.
Yeah, I really like DJ Moore going to Buffalo. I'm a big Josh Allen fan as is, and I hope he can get him a Super Bowl eventually. But I think this absolutely is in the step in that right direction. Yeah, sweet.
But
I love it.
Then we get to the next one, and probably the biggest one of them all. And now here would be my question as we lead into this. Which move made their team more of a Super Bowl contender? DJ Moore to Buffalo, or this next one, which was Max Crosby from the Las Vegas Raiders heading to the Baltimore Ravens.
Also, both fired their coaches
for 2 first-round picks.
I think that Baltimore really needed a pass rusher. That was an absolute need. And I absolutely think that with the new head coach, which I can't remember. I was trying to remember his
Jesse
name.
Minter.
Huh?
Jesse Minter.
Jesse Minter. God dang. Thank you. I think Baltimore is in a better spot for a Super Bowl run than Buffalo.
So here was my thing.
Max
so
Crosby trade.
I saw a lot of people going, well, Baltimore levied their future for, Max Crosby. And I'm like, okay, well, let's look at this a different couple ways. Lamar Jackson's a free agent in 2028.
Yeah, they got to do.
You have a 2-year window to try to win now, and then try to see if.
And Derrick Henry's old, getting older.
Yeah, Derrick Henry's old, but specifically Lamar, you have a 2-year window to see if either A, you can win, or B, do we need to move off Lamar and just let him go and just move forward? What do we got to do? This is your 2-year window to figure that out. No matter who you draft in the first round in those 2 years, none of those picks are going to help you win a Super Bowl right now and be a huge contributing factor.
Yeah, because you're going to get a low pick because your plan is to be in a conference, championship game.
Right. And granted, yes, this year was the 14th pick, which is probably the highest of the picks you're going to get.
Right.
And sure, you probably could have used it and gotten, one of the top receivers in the draft, like a Jordan Tyson, a Carnell Tate, a Mekhi Lemon. You could have gotten one of those guys. None of those guys are going to do what Max Crosby does.
Yep.
All right. Second of all, Max Crosby's 28 years old. Okay. We still got, as far as the way pass rushers go, at least minimum 3 to 4 years of good football, great football out of Max Crosby.
Yeah, I really like this.
So there's that. That's already going to exceed the first-round pick window. All right. And then lastly, remember Jesse Minter, who started in Baltimore on the coaching staff, went to Michigan as the defensive coordinator, coached Aiden Hutchinson into being a top 3 draft pick and a Heisman contender from an edge rusher standpoint that year, won a national title. Who was Aiden Hutchinson compared to coming into the NFL? Max Crosby. So now I'm going to get a better version of what I already had at Michigan on my defensive side to work as my pass rusher. Not only that, Odafe Owe, who's a free agent, who got traded from Baltimore to Los Angeles, who's now a free agent, could end up back in Baltimore following his head coach. And now you have a 2-headed monster of Odafe Owe on one side and Max Crosby on the other, along with having guys like Roquan Smith and I can't remember the defensive tackles in the middle, the big guy. It's like Metabiki or something like that. Having him, Roquan Smith, Kyle Hamilton, Malachi Starks, who they just drafted last year, Marlon Humphrey, Nate Wiggins, Jesse Minter, just by adding Max Crosby, may have easily put himself in position to have a top 3 defense in the NFL next year.
This, obviously this was a plan by Jesse, the plan by Jesse Minter. I think when he took the job in Buffalo, I think this was his target.
Baltimore.
Baltimore. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. I think this was his target the whole time, based on what you were saying about Aiden Hutchinson. He knows having that it guy, pass rusher, matters a lot. And the Ravens' offense is not bad. The defense has always been the downfall the last couple years, and really a couple drops away from being in a Super Bowl. But yeah, I think that absolutely this puts Baltimore in a better spot than Buffalo with DJ Moore. So
yeah, and again,
I'm happy for Lamar.
Listen, and you can find there has been probably. Nah, don't fact check me on this, but there you can find. I mean, there's probably more of a likely you can find pieces at the wide receiver position or whatever in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th round that are going to produce just as well as your first rounders. Yeah. So if they still feel like wide receivers in need, you're still going to be able to find that. And so this was needed. Now, Baltimore's got other spots. They cannot. I know bringing in Crosby brings in a lot on the salary cap, and I don't know what Baltimore's salary cap situations looks like after bringing in Max Crosby. But I'll tell you what, because they've been talking about Tyler Linderbaum going all these different places. They cannot let that man walk out of that building. He is needed on that offensive line. Now, he leaves and goes somewhere else. That puts a detriment on that for their Super Bowl run. But you want to know who the biggest loser out of the Max Crosby trade was?
Who's that?
Joe Burrow.
Oh, yeah.
That man now has to play 2 games a year. 6, we'll just say 6 in total, because you got to play every team in your division twice. Against TJ Watt twice, Myles Garrett twice, and now Max Crosby twice. Joe Burrow might just die this year. I mean, he might die in a game.
Yeah, he better get that ball off quick.
I mean, it's insane. But allegedly also for the Max Crosby trade, Baltimore outbidded the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas was offering because they have 2 first-round picks this year. They were offering one of their picks and then a second-round pick for Max Crosby. Baltimore came in and swung in and said, we'll give up 2 firsts, and then Vegas took that. So we were close to seeing Crosby as a Cowboy, which would have been...
I like this a lot better.
Which would have been nasty within itself, but Baltimore, huge get. You got a top 5 pass rusher. Again, I give up the 2 first-round picks. It's fine. You know, again, Max Crosby, kind of like I talked about a couple weeks ago with the Sauce Gardner giving up 2 first-round picks. Max Crosby's going to be better than anybody you would have drafted with those first-round picks. It's the way you got to look at it, regardless. So, but speaking of Sauce Gardner, I'm going to wrap up this show, Doug, by giving you my way to fix the Indianapolis Colts. And I have broke this down completely. Now, there's 2 parts to this. There's one that has a plan that includes Daniel Jones, and then there's one that has a plan that does not include Daniel Jones. Okay. Which one would you want me to start with?
Let's go with Daniel Jones.
All right, so with Daniel Jones. Now, a lot of these moves are going to be the same, but different.
Same, but different.
But different.
But still same.
But still the same. All right, so with that being said, the first move, again, a lot of these are going to be exactly the same. There's just tweaks in some of these. So the first move is going to be we're going to trade Michael Pittman Jr. to the San Francisco 49ers for a 4th-round pick. All right?
Okay. All right. Great start.
We're going to trade Anthony Richardson to the Minnesota Vikings, who's been linked to Richardson.
Yep.
And said to be interested for a 5th-round pick.
Okay.
All right. Now, those 2 are the same as the other one. So those 2 remain the same in the other part. Here's a little bit where the difference is. We're going to trade our 3rd-round pick this year and a 4th-round pick in 2026. So a 3rd and a 4th to the Arizona Cardinals for Marvin Harrison Jr. All right. And then we're going to trade back up into this is where we get interesting because this doesn't happen like all at one time. This could all happen separately, but we're then going to trade our 2 picks we got from the Vikings and the Vikings and the 49ers. And we're going to trade back up into the 3rd round with the Eagles, who have 2 third-round picks, to go to pick 68.
Okay.
All right. Now, here's where free agency kicks in. While we wait on Daniel Jones and we need quarterback depth, we're going to sign Gardner Minshew to a 1-year, $1 million contract. We're going to sign Trey Hendrickson to a 3-year, $110 million contract to be our pass rusher. We're going to sign Kendrick Bourne, receiver, just played for the 49ers this past year, to a 1-year, $3.3 million contract. We're going to re-sign Jermaine Pratt, who was a great pickup midseason for us at the linebacker spot.
Yes.
But especially now that we traded Zaire to Green Bay, we're going to need Jermaine Pratt for sure. So we're going to re-sign Jermaine Pratt to a 1-year, $2.5 million contract. Now, in doing this, because we traded for Marvin Harrison, we're signing Kendrick Bourne. We are not re-signing Alec Pierce. It's going to be too much money at that point. We're going to let Alec Pierce, if the New England Patriots want to overpay for him, let him overpay. He's going to walk. Nick Cross is going to walk from the safety spot. Braden Smith, we're letting him go from the right tackle spot. So now this is where we get into kind of the drafts where a lot of these guys, maybe some people don't know, but just to fill in your voids. So we're going to draft 2nd round. We're going to take A.J. Halsey, the safety out of LSU, to fill in Nick Cross's role. We're going to take Taurine York, the linebacker from A&M, to fill in the Zaire Franklin role. We're going to draft Eric McAllister, wide receiver from TCU, in the 4th round to fill in just that wide receiver need, get us a 4th wide receiver in the building. We're going to draft Isaiah World, the offensive tackle from Oregon, in the 5th round. With our 2nd 5th-round pick, we're going to draft Roman Hemby, the running back from Indiana, just to fill in some running back depth. 6th round, we're going to draft Damani Jackson, the corner out of Alabama. 7th round, we're going to draft Lander Barton, the linebacker out of Utah. And then with our 2nd 7th-round pick, we're going to draft quarterback Cole Payton out of North Dakota State. And you're probably asking, why this guy, Lucas? Well, because while doing my draft analysis, guess who on Klukas' big board falls as the number 2 quarterback on my list?
This guy.
Yes. This guy.
That's how bad the quarterback depth is this year?
I mean, yes. But this guy's actually pretty good. I mean, I think this guy, if he played at one of the bigger schools, I mean, I think, honestly, we'd be talking about this guy with Fernando Mendoza.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I think to me, he's a slightly more athletic version of Baker. So if you get a chance to go watch him, Cole Payton, North Dakota State. He's a lefty, too, if I remember correctly. But, yeah. So then after all that would set up, I would still roll into the year. While, yes, we picked up Gardner Minshew, I would start Riley Leonard until either he's just terrible or Daniel Jones comes back. If he gets terrible, we got to throw Gardner in there. We know Gardner knows the offense. We know that we can run basically with that. That allows us to have a wide receiver room of Marvin Harrison Jr., Josh Downs, Kendrick Bourne, and then our drafted wide receiver from TCU, Eric McAllister. Essentially the same, we still have the same offensive line, just no Braden Smith. We now have Jalen Travis, who kind of filled in a lot for us last year. Has been solid. And then our defense, we get Trey Hendrickson. That's the biggest get. And then a healthy Sauce Gardner, Travarius Ward, Kenny Moore. When I read you, this is how injury we were at the cornerback position, Doug, because this is the names, the 6 corners that we have. Sauce Gardner, that are still on contract. Sauce Gardner, Travarius Ward, Kenny Moore, Jalen Jones, Mekhi Blackman, Justin Wally.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking the top 3 DB room.
And then you add in Cam Bynum at the safety position, and then newly drafted A.J. Halsey out of LSU to fill in the Nick Cross role.
Well, that's one thing we're missing, like you said, is a pass rusher.
So now let's get to the without
Daniel Jones.
Get to the without Daniel Jones part of this. All right, again, a lot of this is kind of the same, but different. Same. Like we said, the Pittman and Anthony Richardson moves are the same. Where the difference is, we're going to sign Kyler Murray to a 1-year, $2 million contract. Why only $2 million? The Cardinals, because of releasing Kyler, have to pay $36.5 million off his contract this year. So they pay whatever. So whatever the difference is and whatever a team pays for him. So I said $2 million. So that means the Cardinals are going to pay him $34.5 million while we pay him $2 million.
Love that.
So really, whoever gets Kyler Murray out of all this is getting a steal because he's getting paid from the Cardinals as a top quarterback. But you can lowball him for 1 year as a prove it because he's still making a lot of money via Arizona.
And he's going to have a lot to prove regardless.
Correct. So we signed Kyler Murray to a 1-year, $2 million contract as kind of a prove it. Now, the benefit of this is we make Kyler prove it. We still have Daniel Jones on the tag, but we're just going to allow him to rest up for right now. Okay. If Kyler's bad, it's a 1-year deal. We let him go. Hey, Daniel, welcome back, buddy. All right. If not, if Kyler's really good with us, we just let Daniel walk next year.
Go make some money somewhere else.
Correct. We still make the Trey Hendrickson deal.
Right.
All right. The one difference with this is we don't make the Marvin Harrison trade, but we re-sign Alec Pierce to a 4-year, $85 million contract. Because part of this is my thinking was I've already seen Kyler and Marvin in Arizona. It didn't quite work out. I'm not going to fool myself into believing in Indianapolis it's going to work out, so I'm not going to make that trade.
Yeah, that's fair.
So sub out Marvin Harrison, we keep Alec Pierce. All right. Jermaine Pratt, we still re-sign. Kendrick Bourne, we still bring in. And then again, we're not re-signing Nick Cross or Braden Smith. The draft picks are essentially the same. Out Bryce McAllister for Bryce Lance from North Dakota State, the wide receiver. We bring in in the 4th round J.C. Davis, the offensive tackle out of Illinois, who I have rated as a top 3 offensive tackle in the draft. So that can kind of just be we play Jalen Travis at right tackle while we mold J.C. Davis into what we want to be at the right tackle position. We bring in Sky Gill Howard, defensive tackle out of Texas Tech, to kind of just be that filler, learn behind DeForest Buckner and Grover Stewart, and then eventually take over. And then the only other from the last couple, instead of Roman Hemby from Indiana, I have us taking Katron Allen from Penn State. I think it's crucial with these later picks, you get a running back and try to hope that he's really good so we can bring some depth so it's not just JT.
Just JT doing everything. Yeah, makes sense.
Correct. So then this sets up having Kyler Murray, and then again, we still draft Cole Payton. I still have that. So that sets up with the quarterback room of Kyler, Riley Leonard, Cole Payton. You still have Jonathan Taylor, obviously. The wide receiver room now looks like...
DJ's still on the roster, though.
Technically, yes, but he's just resting up.
So he's
not going to be on the depth. He's not going to be on the depth chart.
He's not going to be on the depth chart. Okay.
Yeah. So then again, you have Alec Pierce, Josh Downs, Kendrick Bourne, Bryce Lance, the rookie, filling in. Everything else still the same defensive guys. Obviously, on here I had Zaire Franklin, but obviously because that was before I did this before the trade happened yesterday, so obviously he comes off. But yeah, that's my plan, and I did all the math, did it all. All these moves work within the salary cap that we have.
Okay, which one do you like better?
I don't know because I'm so torn between do I want to just rock it out with Daniel Jones or move on. I'm torn on. I just don't know how a quarterback is going to come off an Achilles injury and play, especially Daniel Jones. And also, I mean, it's not like Daniel Jones has been the healthiest quarterback in his career. He's only played really one full complete season.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of leaning towards Kyler because I think if there could ever be a Sam Darnold type story this year, it's either going to be Malik Willis or Kyler Murray. And
But
just
Kyler's
from a talent standpoint,
proven
it's
to be
Kyler.
a good quarterback.
Right. And so it makes me, if we can get him in the building, let Arizona play him or pay him essentially this year, and then we pay him the minimum. He proves it. I'm not saying we go on a Super Bowl run like Sam Darnold and then did. That'd be obviously the goal. But he goes on a run, plays really well. We get to the playoffs. Maybe lose to a team like Buffalo, Baltimore, somebody like that, where we just run into a better team. Then I'm okay with, all right, we can pay him, and maybe we can convince Kyler to just take what we want Daniel Jones to take, which is like the 3-year, essentially 33 a year, and which is the 3-year 100 mil essentially. And that can be our guy going forward. And it just brings a completely new, different run element because Kyler's ability to run along with JT. This could be what we wanted with Anthony Richardson originally, but obviously a way better pocket passer.
I am leaning more towards a Kyler Murray trade too. It's almost like a why not would you just sign him? Because if you get him, you're going to get him for cheap anyway. Anybody is. So why not put him on your roster and just get rid of the Call of Duty games from his apartment where he's living or whatever, and he's good.
And that's the other thing. Like, he's on a scenery too. If you put him on a 1-year deal, you have if you're like me, where you're torn on Daniel Jones or not, all right, we're going to bring Kyler in, and we're going to play him this year, and it's going to be kind of a, prove it. If Kyler can prove that can get back, because talent, I mean, if we're going to be real, talent-wise, Kyler Murray's top 12 talent-wise quarterback in the league.
Absolutely.
So if you can prove to me that you can get back to that level, then, okay, Daniel, sorry, we let you rehab and stuff in Indy. You can go on and find a new team that wants to sign you. If not, if Kyler doesn't play great, and I'm watching Daniel Jones in rehab, and it looks like he's rehabbing very well, and he's back to practicing with the guys, and he's practicing real well. All right, well then, Kyler, see you. Thanks for your 1 year. We're going to move on with Daniel. So that's the way I look at it.
Yeah, I like this. I don't know how we get this in front of
Ballard.
Ballard. Yeah, Jesus.
Yeah. Somebody send me his email. I'll email him this note chain right now.
Write him some snail mail. Send it to him. Envelope dated. Send
to
it
the office of Chris Ballard. Maybe I don't need to go to Chris Ballard. Maybe I just need to go straight to Carly Ursay.
You gonna hit her up?
Yeah.
Slide them DMs.
Yeah, I'm sliding these DMs to be like, listen, I can fix this. Just
here. Do you
take this?
Does she have an Instagram?
I don't know. She probably does.
Just message her.
Just be like, hey, take
here
this.
You go. This is free advice from a Colts fan.
Take this exact
plan.
And
I did all the math.
And listen, and if you follow this step by step and you do exactly this,
give me a spot
I just want a small cut.
No, just a spot in administration. I want a job. I want a job in the front office. That'd be sick. I think you should do it. I mean, you did all the math you said. It all checks out. I mean, you were actually doing some GM level like maneuvers here with.
Hey, Coach Lucas doesn't play. Coach J don't play.
Whenever you need to keep them shades on. Whenever them shades come on, you start fucking turning to Rain Man.
Listen, we've talked about my draft record here too of the amount of players that end up playing really well and everything. Listen, A.J. Halsey is one of the best safeties in the class. Taurine York is one of the best linebackers in the class. I think Bryce Lance is an underrated wide receiver in the class. See, the thing with bringing in somebody like Bryce Lance is he's kind of Michael Pittman-like. So it's kind of like you're getting rid of Michael Pittman and just getting a younger Michael Pittman potentially.
Yeah, and Michael Pittman, he had a good year this year, but because of Daniel Jones. But
sure.
I mean,
but we gotta start saving money elsewhere. Pittman's not getting much younger.
Pierce is a better prospect too. He's younger and made more plays.
Especially if I want to re-sign Pierce, it makes more sense. Now again, if you're able to make the trade for Marvin Harrison, by all means, I think Marvin Harrison definitely needs to just get everybody out of Arizona for the love of God, because they clearly don't know what they're doing. But
the other piece of this that we didn't talk about with Kyler Murray is he loves his tight ends, and the Colts have Tyler Warren have a really good Swiss Army knife tight end. So that would be a win-win scenario for us, I think, as well.
And then just having the secondary that we would have that can hold up in man-to-man coverage and in zone coverage
We're so close.
to allow Trey Hendrickson to get into the backfield.
That's the
with
biggest
a
piece.
healthy,
We really need that regardless of what happens.
the healthy DeForest Buckner and Grover Stewart also
That
pushing
line
on the
is
D-line.
stacked.
Leatu Latu may just be able to walk through with all the
Right.
all the
People
attention
forget
the other
that
guys
he was
get.
a top 5 pick.
Yeah. So, I mean, you bring in Trey Hendrickson and all the attentions on Hendrickson and Buckner and Stewart. Latu just may be able to walk into the backfield of a quarterback.
Well, hey, how you going, sir? Nice to meet you. I'm going to go sack your quarterback real quick because you got the
He
other
may
folks
just be
you're
able
trying
to
get
walk back there and just be like, here, I got you. Let me just set you down. Here you go.
Yeah, here you go. Let's ride.
Let's ride.
Shout out Burnt Peanut. Yeah, man, I like this a lot. I really think we need to get this in front of somebody in the Colts front office here, because the amount of effort that you put in here to actually do the math for the salary cap and all that is impressive. Not gonna lie. We just hope one of these happens. I think, like I just said, I think the Trey Hendrickson piece is really the must, because we really could just sign Pierce. Keep it simple, you could just re-sign Pierce, keep Daniel Jones, start Riley Leonard until Daniel Jones is back, and we'll be still a halfway decent team regardless. But you need the defensive piece from Trey Hendrickson. So you got to make that happen regardless, I think.
Yeah,
and he's been on their line, right? I mean, I think they've had interest in him.
They've had interest in him. I mean, he's already worked with Lou Anarumo. He had his best year with Lou Anarumo. I mean, it makes sense, but there's also just like teams like Dallas who just missed on Max Crosby, who'd be probably willing to maybe overpay a little for him. But I mean, 3 years, 110 would make him one of the highest paid, if not the highest paid edge rusher in the league. So, I mean,
and it works for his cap space was.
Yes.
With those other moves.
Yep. You have to do a lot of, like GMs do this. You have to do a lot of like backloading on their salary. So like essentially like 3 years, like first year I may only pay $5 million to Trey Hendrickson, but we're going to backload the rest of it. And we're going to
they do that a lot.
Pay the rest of it on the back end.
Yeah.
So that's what we got to do with a lot of these moves, is pay people on the back end of their contracts, which is fine, because the back end of their contracts, they're going to be getting older. I may just be looking to trade them to be getting to anyways. So
yeah, I feel like that's a normal thing for any team.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Kind of a shitty way to do it, I guess, but I mean, it is what it is.
I mean, yeah, but at the end of the day, as a player, you're still getting your money. Like, you may get less now, but
you're getting
still
some guaranteed regardless.
So,
yeah. Okay, sweet. All right, well, I think that does it for this episode. Remember, guys, next week, tune in. It'll be our Selection Sunday episode. And just remember, give us that follow button, like, comment, subscribe. We'll see you guys in the next one.